Confessions number 39. Now, this one is about a fella named Lil Bro, and I guess I'll call this Lil Bro the dangerous kid, because this guy, he was around 24 years old. He was younger than me, and I was like, okay. So when I got the live link thing and it said, boom, I let him in, and we began to talk, and again, we exchanged numbers. Now, when I talked to him on live links, he sounded like he had some common sense and like he had a lot going for him. And I was like, okay, nothing wrong with that. And besides, I didn't been with all these older guys and guys that were my age. So now I felt like it was time for me to try the young man, old money thing. And it started off good. Lil Bro, he was the type, he called, text, he was there. He didn't overdo it. He didn't underdo it. He was just right there. Anytime I call, he pick up. He ain't had no problem. I mean, nothing he did, nothing about this young man had any shame in him at all. Now, that could be a good thing for some. But if you give no shame to the wrong person, and that no shame falls in the wrong hands, that can be a disaster. A dangerous disaster. Lil Bro was not from the best of neighborhoods. And I remember getting into once we got to know each other pretty well, I was like, okay, I want to meet this kid because he seems fun, and I'm in my upper 30s and he's 24, and I said he's from around here, my neighborhood, and that's a good thing, right? Because we don't live far away. We only live like 30 minutes away. So I'm thinking, this guy can't be no killer, no nut job or anything like that. And what can a 24-year-old really, I don't think he'd be that bad, especially if he on the chat line. Well, don't be fooled, because these chat lines, we are on there for a reason. It's because we have something to hide that we don't want the world to see. That could be who we are as a person, or it could be flaws that we think we have in how we look or how we talk. We can manipulate anybody with a voice. And we can get people to do anything we want to do with just a voice. Because lonely people will accept anybody that is willing to accept them. And that's how it was. Lil Bro, he was a lonely young man, but he was dangerous. See, Lil Bro really wanted somebody in his life, but his past wouldn't let him have nobody in his life. And I roll up on this cat. This cat, first of all, is in the street hanging out with his boys. And he's like, well, can you come back? I got to finish hanging out with my boys, and you just come back. And I was like, okay, I'll come back. And then he was like, well, can you bring some beer? I was like, yeah, sure. I ain't mind doing that because, I like to sit and have a good time. And, he had already told me that he had been on some hard times. And I was like, I looked past that. I didn't mind, helping a brother out like that. Every once in a while, I do kind of humble myself down. I would think, and just do what I can so that I can get what I needed out of him, which was emotional fixing. I still needed my ego boosters. And, this thing is addicting now. So I need to talk to somebody. I need to be around people. And, just keep meeting different people. The more people I met, the better I felt. I'm serious. Didn't have no kind of sick days. because I was feeling so good just running off the adrenaline of who will I encounter today. Anyway, I get the beer and I come back. Him and his boys are still hanging outside, and he's like, I'm going to go inside now, fellas. So I'm under the impression that this dude has inherited a house from his grandma. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking he's the owner of this house. And let me back up a minute. Let me tell y'all how he looked. He was dressed. And I got to give you this height first so you can picture this. Tall and skinny, dark skin, a round head. And you know how try to gangsters dress. You know that type of appearance, because I ain't gonna lie, I was attracted to dangerous men just as much as they was attracted to me. And he was tall. He was 6'9", dark skinned, real dark. I did not know how tall he was until he got off that ground. He was so tall. 6'9". He had this oval shaped head. And I mean, it was just oval. Just oval. You ever seen a long oval head? It was just oval with this big overbite. And I was like, oh my God. The looks was already like kind of, I really wanted to say something out of the way about the looks, but then I was like, no, I ain't here for the looks no way, so let me chill out. And so finally he says, I'm going to go in the house a minute and I come right back out. He comes out, he sits into my van. Y'all, I'm riding around in a 2009, was it? No. A 1999 dark green Dodge Caravan minivan. That's what I pulled up in. Still got that van around here, by the way. I'm gonna have to take a picture of it. I'm gonna take a picture of it because that van, I did a lot of my devil work in that van. That van was it right there. Anyway, he goes in the house and then he comes back out and he's like, you can come in now. And I was like, in my head, I was kind of skeptical about going in, but then I was like, you know what? It's got to be all right. Get in there, and guess who's there? Grandma. His grandma is sitting there to meet me. And he done told this woman all this good stuff about me. Oh, she goes sing gospel. She's in the church. She got her own job, home, and I didn't tell him about my kids. But anyways, he put a lot of good wording on my name. And I'm looking at this woman like, dang. He didn't tell me all this. So now I got to listen at this woman saying, he's a good boy. You just got to treat him right and you'll be okay. And she was basically warning me about him and his attitude. And she said, you know, you're a nice lady. You're welcome to come here anytime you want to. And she was telling me about how that was her house and how her husband built the house. And she had a nice, little, good, juicy conversation going on with me. Now, I'm one for good conversations and I respect the elderly. But at this time, I wasn't there for her. But some said, listen to what she got to say. So she kept just kind of throwing hints about how dark he was and how violent he was. And she was like, you know he just got out of prison, right? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And she was like, he ain't been out about a month. And he's supposed to be in the house at a certain time. So this dude had already told me that this was his house. It was not his house. It was her house. I'm holding everything inside that I want to say to him. She gets tired, go to bed, and he says, look, we can't drink in the house. We got to drink in your car. This dude didn't have me get out my car. Not to mention, to go into this house is a steep hill that I had to sit on the ground and slide down because I have a bad leg. And I had to sit on the hill and slide down to get down into this house. And then on the way out and getting ready to go up, I'm like, dude, can you help me? This dude had no manners at all. No manners. That's why I call him what I call him, Little Bro, the dangerous kid. He had no manners at all. Then once we got into the car and he starts to drink this beer, it was like, I hope he don't start tripping. And he didn't. He didn't trip. So everything went good that night. And I went my way, he went his way. Now, fast forward, I go back to this dude's house like 3 or 4 more times. This last time I went to his house, I don't know what happened, but he flipped. The grandma died unexpectedly. They couldn't figure out what happened to her. They were just saying that she was doing good one minute, and then all of a sudden she's dead. Then he comes and he starts talking in the car off the wall about some crazy, like he was just sounding crazy about how he was talking. And he basically had me looking at him sideways because I was like, this dude right here, something up with that. So I couldn't really play the mind game on him, and I didn't want to either because he was too dangerous, and I soon learned what the danger was about him. Dude had an attitude from out of nowhere, like he could go from 0 to 1,000, and he was swinging at air. He went from 0 to 1,000 fussing with himself, swinging at air. And I was like, oh my God. But you know me, I had to do at least one thing to him. And I did. I told him that, dude, I don't even know how I stuck down here this long because you are absolutely one of the ugliest men I've ever seen. And I walked off. He threw a brick at my car. And he never seen me again. I just wanted to leave him with that message. Now, why I left him with that was because I felt like he had done lied enough. He said the house was his. Then he acted childish. I mean, he acted like a 12-year-old. He never grew up, and he had like one of the longest t-shirts I've ever seen. Like, you ever just seen a long curtain? That's what his t-shirt looked like. And it was black, and I was dark, but I went to that point. And whatever happened to his grandma, I can tell you this much. He pulling time now. And that's about much as I can say on that. He's locked up and pulling time, and that was one time the grandma actually saved my life. So, Lil Bro, I ain't even gonna say more power to you. You don't need nothing. And that was how that went. So everybody that I met on livelinks, it's a different story with each guy that I met. And in this case, the story was this guy was just dark because he was always troubled. He was troubled as a child, grew up as a troubled young man, didn't really respect women figures because his mama left him. I told you, they tell you everything. If you're just willing to sit and listen, you'll learn. His mama had left him with strangers, and so all he had was his grandma, and he didn't appreciate her because she was always, getting on him, and she was one of the overly religious type, and she just got to the age where she couldn't handle him and control him, and that's why she only would tell me bits and pieces of how he was. But this dude was dangerous, and she knew it, and I knew it, and one of the friends had even hollered out like, "Dude, how you pull her?" Crazy. But again, I needed that dangerous side. I needed to feel that. That's what was keeping me alive on the inside, was feeling that, that taking a risk. That's where my adrenaline came from. After nights like this, I could stay up. Listen, I didn't need a drug. That was my drug, running into dangerous situations. After a night like this, I could stay up for like probably a whole week straight because my adrenaline just be pumping, pumping, pumping. It's running. It's running. And then when it wore down, I probably could sleep for 2-3 days. That's how it worked.